Hello, everybody. I've been asked to discuss the election activity that I do in the 11th chapter or the 11th stage of the Cambridge Latin course. I did a webinar that you can find on the North American Cambridge Classics Project website and reference this as well as how to go through an entire stage. And I encourage you to check out that webinar. And also, if you have any questions about things with Cambridge Latin course to submit those on the Facebook group. That's good, or to me, um, and see if we can get another webinar that you would find useful. And then there's also archives of the webinars on many different topics. So this one is just a real quick description of the election activity that I referenced in that webinar that people have been asking me about. So essentially, it's about a 4-day event, and it really doesn't actually take that much class time. So on Monday, I'm going to set it up, and let's just assume that you've got a class of about 30 kids, 25 to 30 kids, and so if it's about that size, I would pick three different candidates, and I would have two fautores, two supporters for each of those candidates. So if you have three candidates, it's six total. I don't know why that says eight. Here we go, and then everybody else is a citizen. Okay, so everybody will vote in the election, and so I start by handing out everybody a vote, a suffragium, and I will hand those out one to every person. And the suffragia that I use is this. It looks like a potsherd, and that's a screen capture what it is. And then I put ego fawe, that should say fawe o, there we go. And then the person can write the name of whoever they support. In the middle, I make them actually use the dative case to reinforce the grammatical concept, or their vote doesn't count. So that's something that you may or may not want to do. Let's go back up to the top here. So you've got three candidates. Each one has two supporters, and then everybody else is a citizen. And everybody gets a vote. I will give each candidate 16 suffragia, 16 bribes, essentially, and we'll talk about those in a second. And I'm going to give each fautor, each supporter, 9 bribes. And that is to start. And so then I give them a little bit of a chance to strategize and talk about who they're going to vote for and that kind of thing just in class. But I try not to take up too much class time on Monday. I just explain the game. And then over the course of the next couple of days, we don't use any class time. I set up a piece of butcher paper in the wall outside my classroom. I try to keep it outside my classroom so that, well, you'll see in a second, but it's in the hallway outside of my classroom. And people can write campaign slogans, tituli, on the board. And eventually, at the end of this thing, when we do have an election, the best campaign slogan, the best titulus, as voted on by my AP class, for instance, wins 5 extra votes. So that the campaigning and the canvassing for votes and bribes and all of this happens Tuesday and Wednesday. And then on the 4th day of the election process, we have the election and everybody gives their votes. So again, everybody has one suffragium and they vote with that. But I might be a citizen and I might have been approached by one of the candidates or more, and I might have been approached by one of the fautores or more, and we might have struck a deal where I promised to vote for them in exchange for so many bribes or whatever. And so let's say that I've got a candidate, and the candidate has promised me three bribes, or I've agreed to vote for him with 3 bribes. And so when I go to cast my vote, I will vote my 1 suffragium, and I will also cast 3 more votes using those 3 bribes. And so I've got an example of a bribe down here. So I've taken just a dollar bill and I've done some, cheap editing here. And so I've made Holconius bucks. One of the candidates is Holconius. So I've found a picture of him and I've put a Holconius bucks here. So I would vote both with my suffragium, and I would put ego Holconio faveo, And then I would also cast this as a separate vote as well. So if I got 3 bribes for Holconius, then I can vote for him 3 times plus my 1 suffragium. I put all of those in the pot or bag or hat or whatever it is. So here's the deal. Candidates. If you're a candidate, you can bribe any citizen, but you can't give bribes to your own supporters. I'm allowed a maximum of 4 votes or bribes per citizen. But I only have so many to spread around, so I've got to kind of be careful. I can't keep the bribes and then cast them as my own votes. So I've got to either give away all the bribes or I waste some. I can strike an alliance with another candidate and combine some votes and bribes. But just like the duo Weary and Pompey, 2 candidates will be elected. So if there's 3 candidates, the wheeling and dealing, the conspiracy is you're just trying to shut out one person. I do this for bonus points, and that you may be comfortable, you may not be comfortable, but the point of the bonus points here is just a carrot at the end of the stick. But these bonus points really do not add up to much. They don't affect the student's grade. It's more of a mental thing than anything. So the winning candidate gets, or the 2 winning candidates get 2 bonus points each on their next test. They also get 9 bonus points to distribute among a minimum of 3 people. And again, you cannot keep them for yourself. Candidates also are not allowed to write their own tituli. You have to instruct your own supporters or citizens to do it. So if you're a fautor, you can bribe any citizen with a max of 3 votes or bribes. And again, you only have a certain number, so you got to spread them around, and you can't keep them, and you can't give them to your own candidate. You can strike an alliance, that kind of thing. And winning fautores get 2 bonus points, and they get 3 more bonus points to distribute among a minimum of 2 people. And so again, you can't give them to your own candidate, and you can't keep them. And again, as a fautor, you can write a titulus on the wall outside and the butcher paper outside my classroom. You're also endowed with the right to scratch out or erase or ruin another candidate's titulus, but you gotta do it in a sneaky way, because if you get caught, you're gonna forfeit your bonus points, or maybe you forfeit your votes. You can decide what you want to do. For the tituli, so the best one earns the candidate 5 extra votes, and the tituli are evaluated on their accuracy. And there's some examples in the textbook. They got to be PG rated, very important when we look at some real examples in Pompeii. And we also have some examples in some of the publisher's materials there. So this is essentially what I've just explained here, that day 1 you pass out this sheet, you explain it, you point the roles. I give them 5 minutes at the end of class to sort of strategize and wheel and deal, give citizens the opportunity to approach candidates and see what kind of alliances that they can create. And then over the 2nd and 3rd day in class, you don't do anything in class. Everything's happening outside. And then in day 4, I allow 5 minutes at the beginning of class just to sort of maybe consolidate some alliances, and then we vote. You explain the voting process, and each person kind of comes up one by one, all of that kind of thing. And then maybe the next day you can deal with the bonus points. It depends on your time frame. But that really is basically it. And I hope that helps explain how I do the election activity.